Hi, welcome to Chemeketa's New Student Advising session. We'd like to start today just with some introductions. My name is Catherine Ellis. I am an academic advisor at Chemeketa's Yamhill Valley campus, located in McMinnville. One of the beauties of our campus is we are a small campus. So that means we as advisors get to assume multiple roles. So not only are we going to assist you with your academic advising, but we're also going to be able to be there for you to answer any of your financial aid questions as well. The other role that I also assume is as your accommodation specialist. So if you were on an IEP or a 504, injured on the job, or have a diagnosis that could impact you in the classroom, please connect with me.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudia Gallegos. I'm also an academic advisor at Yamhill Valley campus. I advise the general students as well as the students enrolled in the GED and ESOL programs. Another role that I have on campus is I supervise the student leaders. So if you're interested in getting a little bit involved, I'm the person that you want to connect to. So welcome.
So now that you know who we are, we'd like to jump right in with our agenda. We do have a full agenda. We will get through it pretty quickly, but when you meet with us one-on-one, please make sure that you have a list of any questions that come up as we go through this process. But our agenda today is we're going to take a little bit of a look at what Chemeketa has to offer you in terms of programs and enrollment opportunities. We're also going to make sure that you're aware of what it means to be a college student, some tuition fees, enrollment levels, balancing those types of things. We'll also make sure that you know how to access some of the resources that we have available to you as a student. Then Claudia is going to jump in and she's going to make sure that you can access some of the key features in your My Chemeketa, specifically how to search for classes and how to get registered. And then at the very end, we're going to make sure that you have either scheduled a one-on-one appointment with one of us, or you're aware of how to access that feature in your My Chemeketa to get an appointment scheduled so that we can take a look at your placement test scores, take a look at what degree you're interested in, and help you to identify a list of courses that we would recommend for your first term here at Chemeketa. So let's go ahead and get started. Chemeketa is a community college. One of the beauties of a community college is there's a lot of different pathways students can take. Typically, students attend Chemeketa for usually one of two reasons. The first reason is to earn a transfer degree or work through those general ed requirements needed in order to transfer to a four-year institution or to transfer into another program. Chemeketa has 3 transfer degrees. We have an Associate of Science, Oregon Transfer in Business. We have an Associate of Science, Oregon Transfer in Computer Science, and then our General Transfer, which is our Associate of Arts, Oregon Transfer degree. So, pathway towards additional education is one reason students attend Chemeketa. The other reason is to earn a certificate or degree that leads directly into employment. So some of those programs could be working towards our medical assisting certification, or working through our welding department, or working through one of our social services, early childhood ed types of programs where they're more career tech focused. You would work through that certificate, work through that degree with the intention of then transferring right into employment. So students are looking at either continuing their education or transferring into employment when they finish with us here at Chemeketa. Some of our certificate or associate's degree programs are open-ended programs, which means you have a list of required courses that you're going to work your way through. When you complete that list of required courses, you will have earned your certificate, you will have earned your degree, and then you'll be ready for that employment opportunity. Other programs here at Chemeketa are limited enrollment, which means we only allow a certain number of students in the program during specific enrollment periods. So we as advisors will walk you through what you can do to increase your chances of acceptance into those programs. Students often wonder, how long is it going to take me to earn that certificate or earn that Associate of Applied Science degree, or how long is it going to take me to get those prereqs done so that I can transfer to another institution? That Just depends. It depends on your placement test scores coming in, and it also depends on the number of credits that you take each term. If you're working towards an associate's degree requires 90 credits. To complete an associate's degree here at Chemeketa in 2 years, you have to have placement test scores at the 100 level in reading, writing, and math, and you have to be in a position to take about 15 credits each term. If your placement test scores are a little low, and if you're in a position where taking 15 credits each term isn't feasible, just know it may take you longer than that 2 years to complete your degree. All right, so let's jump in. Now that you're a Chemeketa student, we want to make sure that you're aware that you have access to any and or all of our centers and campuses. Depending on your degree path will kind of dictate which campus and which center you might be spending the majority of your time. Here at Chemeketa's Yamhill Valley campus, students can earn their medical assisting, their hemodialysis, their BNA or CNA certification, as well as can complete one of the transfer degrees, the AAOT degree, as well as some of the ASOTs in computer science and business. If you're looking at more of a medical track or an emergency services track, such as EMT, paramedic, fire suppression, law enforcement, criminal justice, you may be spending a little bit more time at our Brooks Center. Salem obviously has the majority of our career tech programs, our early childhood ed, our welding, our auto, our dental assisting, those types of courses. So with all of that being said, just recognize that depending on what degree path you're choosing, that might dictate which of our centers and which of our campuses you may be spending the majority of your time. Students have the ability to attend multiple classes within the same term. So, cost of tuition. That's probably one of the biggest questions we receive from our students is how much is it going to cost? So tuition and fees here at Chemeketa are about $115 per credit. Chemeketa's classes range anywhere from 1 credit all the way up to about 7 to 8 credits depending on the course. However, the majority of our classes are 4 credit classes. So if you register for a history class or a writing class or a psychology class or an art class, those are typically 4 credit classes. 12 credits is deemed full-time in terms of financial aid guidelines. And so if you are registered for 3 4-credit classes, that would put you at 12 credits. And tuition and fees for 12 credits is going to run you approximately $1,380 per term. You're going to throw in the cost of books amongst that tuition and fees, and you're going to look at approximately $1,600 a term for tuition fees and books. We will talk a little bit more about books and book costs as we talk about services and as Claudia walks you through how to search classes. But know that there are a lot of resources in place to help reduce the cost of books. But tuition, fees, and books are about $1,600 a term. Now, if you're on that fast track and you're wanting to get your associate's degree done in 2 years and you're going to be taking 15 credits each term, just know that that number is going to be a little bit higher because you're going to be taking more credits. Same for those of you that are going to go a little bit slower. And if you're trying to balance work, family, and school, if you're taking 8 credits, know that that number is going to be a little bit lower. Oftentimes, students kind of wonder, how many credits should I take? And that's definitely a personal choice given your individual circumstances. We want students to know that you do not have to be a full-time student in order to be eligible for financial aid. Financial aid does require that you at least attend half-time if you're choosing to take out student loans. But if you're grant eligible, your enrollment level can fluctuate from term to term. It's just really important to identify what enrollment level you're interested in being at before financial aid disperses your funds. So with financial aid, Just because you receive aid one term doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to qualify for aid the following term if you don't meet financial aid requirements. One of their biggest requirements is this enrollment level. So if you tell financial aid you're going to be a full-time student, it's important that you register for at least 12 credits or more. And then it's important at the end of the term that you successfully pass those 12 credits. If you drop below enrollment level or if you fail your classes, you could be at risk of losing that funding. So that's why your enrollment level is important, trying to figure out how many credits make the most sense before financial aid disperses those funds. Time commitment. We all have 24 hours in a day. But oftentimes students are kind of wondering, okay, now I kind of know what the enrollment level means, but what kind of a time commitment are we looking at in terms of taking a 4-credit class or taking 12 credits within a term? So there's a formula that students can use to kind of guesstimate the amount of time it's going to take depending on the number of credits you choose to register for. We are currently, with COVID-19, in a remote format, so things are a little bit different as we navigate through this new student advising session. But in general, for every 1 credit that you're registered for, if you're registered for a face-to-face class, you can look at being expected to be in class 1 hour a week. On top of that class attendance, you would be looking at 2 hours of outside class work that would need to be kind of calculated within your week. So that 1 credit class would require about 3 hours a week. We don't have a ton of 1 credit classes. As I mentioned before, most of our classes are 4 credits. So if you're looking at a 4-credit history class or a 4-credit psychology class or a 4-credit writing class, technically you'd be looking at 4 hours of in-class work on top of 8 hours of homework for a total of 12 hours per week. Because we are working remotely, you can kind of negate that 4 hours of in-class and just add that to your online presence. So for a 4-credit history class, you can look at approximately 12 hours a week that you will need to kind of commit to that class. So hopefully there's some math people out there that enjoy math, but let's do a little calculation. Let's say that you're going to be a full-time student taking 12 credits. If 1 credit requires 3 hours a week, how many hours are we looking at if you're going to be registered for 12 credits? Yeah, 36 hours a week. So if you register for 12 credits, you're going to need to figure out within your schedule how you're going to be able to meet the requirements of each of those courses within that week. And you can look at approximately 36 hours that you're going to need to carve out throughout each of those days to be able to get through the course content and the course requirements as a full-time student. With all of that being said, as I mentioned, Chemeketa reaches a diverse population. Each one of you, your schedule and your life are going to look very different. So we want to make sure that you're first stopping to take a look at, what are my family responsibilities? What are your work responsibilities? Do you have any commitments outside of work and family that you're committed to? And then how are you going to weave college into probably an already very busy life? For some of you, you may be not working at the moment. So taking 14 to 16 credits in a term could potentially be very doable. Others of you may be at home, working from home, helping to homeschool your children, and have a very busy life. So taking 14 to 16 credits isn't doable. Maybe you want to jump in and just take a class or two just to kind of get used to the routine and the process. That's going to look different for each of you. So take a look at that. The other thing that we want to make sure that you're taking a look at is any anticipated barriers. These have now shifted and changed now that we're in a remote format, but transportation and childcare have always been 2 of the biggest barriers that our students face. Currently, probably access to internet and access to technology can be 2 of the barriers that our students are currently facing. If there are barriers that you're experiencing and would like to talk about some resources, make sure that you connect with us. We do have Chromebooks, laptops, and other things available to students during these times. So know that those are possibilities, that those barriers we can assist you in removing. And then lastly is we want to make sure that you have a support system in place. Who are those people in your life that you're going to reach out to when things get tough? Who are those people in your corner rooting for you to be successful? If you don't have those people currently in your life, we want to make sure that you're aware that we as your academic advisors and your instructors are part of that support system. So please reach out and connect with us if you're experiencing any struggles or any challenges. We'd be happy to help navigate through those with you and provide you with a little bit of support and encouragement along the way. Support resources. Chemeketa has always valued the importance of providing students with support and resources to help you to be successful. The first part is just us as your academic and financial aid advisors. We are here to help you get on a path, stay on a path, and complete those educational goals. So reach out to us. We're also here to help you navigate that financial aid system. For some students, that can be a little bit complicated, a little bit scary. We're here to help you through those financial aid questions, and then also to provide you with some additional resources when it comes to scholarships and other financial means to help pay for college. Counseling. Chemeketa also values the importance of having counseling services available to our students, whether that's personal counseling or whether that's career counseling. If you're struggling with some anxiety or struggling with trying to figure out an appropriate balance during these uncertain times, make sure that you reach out and connect with one of our counselors. If you're also at a point where you just don't know what you want to do career-wise, we have counselors available to help you do some of that career exploration. So please seek them as well. We do have also a campus cupboard, which is a food pantry on our Yamhill Valley campus. Currently, with the campus being closed, we don't have access to those resources. However, we do have a list of community food bank resources that we can definitely provide to you. So reach out to us if that is a concern. And then lastly, in terms of support services, we have some amazing student services frontline staff members who are here and available to answer your questions. Even though we're not present in our Yamhill Valley campus facility, they are still answering phones and still there to assist you with any of the questions that you might have. So reach out to them, call our main number, and they will help direct you towards the appropriate person if they're unable to answer your questions. Academic success. Obviously, we want you to be successful in your courses. So we have some things that we've put into place and some services that are here to help you to be successful. First and foremost is our tutoring services. Even in this remote format, we have tutoring services available to you. We also have access to library. If you have courses that are requiring some research writing and some research situations where you're going to have to access additional library resources, we do have those services available. Our library has also started what we call our lending library. So if funds are tight and you're not quite sure how you're going to be able to purchase your books, make sure that you check into our lending library. Our lending library allows you the opportunity to borrow a book or two for the entire term at zero cost to you. So it's a great way to save on those financial resources. Your faculty also have office hours. And in this remote format, they're still meeting with students during their office hours through a Zoom meeting, through a phone meeting, or through email. So make sure that you are reaching out to your faculty. They're here to support you, and they are the best person that you can reach out to if you're struggling in any of your classes. And then finally, our computer lab. Obviously, with campuses being closed down, currently our computer labs are not accessible and will not be accessible during spring term. We are hopeful that potentially as COVID-19 settles down, we will be able to reopen some of those services and those could be available to our students. But currently, as I mentioned before, we do have access to some technology. So if you need access to a laptop, access to a Chromebook, make sure that you let one of us advisors know and we can guide you to that resource. Getting involved. Students often think, well, how am I going to get involved? I'm not seeing students. I'm not seeing anybody face to face. We are working at trying to find some activities and some ways for students to still stay connected with one another. In general, this is what we've done on our Yamhill Valley campus in the past, and what we're trying to kind of pull together in a remote format as we navigate this new normal that we're all experiencing. We value campus activities and campus events, so we do what we can to provide some events, provide some activities that would encourage students to get engaged on campus. Part of that are student clubs. Currently, our student clubs aren't active, but that is something that we really want to work on getting active in this remote format. So if you're interested in being part of one of our student clubs or even starting a new club, make sure that you let us know and we can help navigate that process with you. We do have approximately 5 to 7 student leaders in any given year. Our student leaders are the individuals who actually help to plan and organize those events and those activities. On top of planning and organizing those activities, they have the opportunity to develop some amazing leadership skills. And in turn, what they do is they work 10 hours on our campus and receive free tuition for the work that they do. So if you're interested in becoming a student leader, make sure that you reach out to Claudia. She's the one that kind of coordinates and helps facilitate our student leadership program. And then finally, in terms of getting involved, we want to make sure that when campuses reopen, that you're aware of where to find resources and how to access those resources on campus. One of the great spaces that we have at the Yamhill Valley campus is our inclusive space. This is a space where our clubs meet. It's also a space where there's free coffee and tea. So when campuses open, if you're wanting a tour or if you're wanting to check out that inclusive space, make sure that you reach out and you connect with one of us, and we would be happy to kind of walk you through where to find that.
Hi there. I know we've been throwing a lot of information at you, but I promise you it's all very helpful. So I'm going to jump in to explain a couple other things to you. So if another resource available to students is if you receive SNAP benefits, which some people also refer to as food stamps, there may be some additional funds available to you. If you have any questions about what that program could look like, feel free to reach out to me and I can explain eligibility and what things are available for funding. So I'm the person to connect for that, okay? So moving on. The next thing I'm going to talk about is My Chemeketa, which is your student account that is extremely important. You can do a lot of things to it, so I'm going to show you a couple of major things that I want you to be aware of. Okay. Let's see here. So this is where you go to access your My Chemeketa. You go to login.chemeketa.edu. And when you completed your admission application, you were assigned a username. So that's where you will find that information, and hopefully you set up your My Chemeketa account. But when you come into the single login portal, you're going to put in your username, and then you'll put the password that you set up for yourself. And then once you log in, you're going to have a couple applications that appear to you. So for me, I may have a couple extra because I'm an employee, but you will definitely have My Chemeketa, eLearn, your student email account, Office 365, the library search. So this is where you can access all of those things. So we're going to go to My Chemeketa. Here in My Chemeketa, you have the ability to schedule advising and counseling appointments, check your financial aid status, look up classes, register for classes. You can also access your student email from here. So up here in the right top corner, that's where your student email account will be. Now it's important that you get in the habit of checking your student email account, if not every day, every other day. And the reason why is because all communication from advisors, instructors, the college, they're going to be sent to your student email account. So it's important that you start developing that habit if you don't have that habit already, okay? The next thing I'm going to show you is how to look up your registration status and how to register for classes, okay? So up here on the left side, you're going to see a couple of different tabs. You want to make sure that you're on the classes tab. And then when you go here on the right, you see this where it says registration. So when you click that, these options will come up for you. When you click on registration status, that's going to tell you when you're able to register for classes for the upcoming term. So for example, if I were to take summer classes, I can register for those on May 8th. For fall classes, I can register for those on May 22nd. Now, your registration date depends on how many credits you have, so you want to make sure you check that to know when you should be ready to register for your classes. How you register for your classes is, this is one of the ways you can do it. So when you go to class search, you can search for the classes that are coming up the next term. In the class search here, you can set different parameters. So you can pick what location you wanted to be at. You can make sure you select the correct term. So I'm going to do summer 2020. Okay. You can narrow it down by subject. Okay. So I'm going to say I want to summer 2020. I want all subjects, and I want to take classes at Yamhill Valley campus. Then when you search for classes, what pops up is all the classes that are available summer term at YVC, okay? So let's say I want to take Sociology 204. When you click on that class, it's going to tell you how many credits it is, a brief summary of what the class is about. Okay? It's also going to tell you information about prerequisites that are needed for that class. So for example, for this one, you need to either place into writing 115 or you have to complete writing 90 with a C or better. You can also have consent of the instructor. This class is offered fall, winter, spring, summer. Okay. It tells you right now that it's open, how many spots are available. So that's 24. This is the CRN number of the class. The day, so this class offered Monday and Wednesday. The time is 3 to 5:20. This is the instructor. If you need to get in touch with the instructor, this little mail icon right here, this is where you can email the instructor. Okay. It tells you the instructional method, so face-to-face, but we just want to make sure that you know that for summer term, our classes are going to be via remote learning, so just be aware of that piece. Other things, this little book icon right here, when you click that, it will take you to what book is needed for that class. So it can really help you plan ahead. And then lastly, this little information icon, when you click on that, it tells you how much the class costs, important deadlines to be aware of. So when's the first day of class, when you can drop with a refund, when you can drop without being responsible for a grade. Okay, so all the information you need is available to you right here. A couple things that you might see right here. So right now this class is open for registration, but there's a couple of other scenarios that you can have. You can have something that says waitlist. When there's a wait list, it means that the class is at capacity now. So there's a wait list that has been started. If there's a number next to it, it means that that's how many students are on the list for it. So for example, if you were to see wait list 3, that means that there's 3 people on that wait list and you would be number 4. When you're added to the wait list, it's important that you check your email every single day, because if spots become available in that class, they're going to reach out to you via email and you have 24 hours to register for the class. If you don't register for the class, they bump you off the list and they move on to the next person. Okay, so it's very, very important that if you're on a wait list, that you're checking your email every single day in case a spot becomes available and you need to register for it. Other things that you will see will be closed. If it's closed, that means that there's no more spots. You're not able to register for that class anymore. And then maybe consent. Consent means that you need the consent of the instructor to be able to enroll in that class. Okay. So those are some couple of the scenarios that you will see when you're doing your class search. Another way you can register for classes is, let's say you do your research, you've met with your advisor, you know what classes you need to take, you map out the courses, you look up the CRN number, which I mentioned is right here. So you gather all those CRNs, and then you can go to add drop classes, pick the spring 2020, well, whatever term it is, and then you would add the CRNs here. And then you would submit changes and it would register you for the classes. So that's another way that you can do it. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is financial aid. So here in the services tab, this is where you can find more information about financial aid. So when you have a FAFSA, the college has a FAFSA on file. When you select aid year, it would appear. If there is no aid year, if there's no 2020, 2021, it means that you either haven't completed your FAFSA application or you didn't pick Chemeketa as one of the schools. So you want to make sure you do those two things. And then once the college has your FAFSA on file, that will appear right here. When you click on it, if there's any holds, any requirements that you need to complete, it will tell you what those are. Okay. But if you were to pick the aid year, you could also see kind of the awards that you would have. So financial aid awards, what's been offered. You need to accept your award letter. So even if you're offered student loans and you decide that you do not want to accept student loans, you still have to decline the loans and then accept the rest of the award. So it's very important that you do that. If you accept loans, you want to make sure that you complete the loan counseling and any other requirements that come up with those things, okay? But this is where you would see those requirements come up for you. So in the hold section here. Academic progress. So Catherine touched a little bit about this during the enrollment center, but these are the SAP key for financial aid. So you can be in good standing, warning, or probation, or denied. So make sure you read some of those. That way you become familiar and you are aware of how your grades can impact your financial aid. You want to make sure you're on top of that. Okay. All right. So the next thing I'm going to cover is how to make an advising appointment. So under services, the next tab right next to financial aid is going to be advising. And then when you scroll down, you're going to have all the available campuses or centers. So for Yamhill Valley campus, if you're a current student and you're looking for academic advising, you would click that. You would do either next term advising or if it's general advising. So let's say it's next term advising. Okay, you would pick the advisor, or if you don't have a preference. So when you select, let's say you select me, this is my availability. So they're 30-minute appointments. At this time, they are through phone. So just be aware of that. They can also be through email. But you would just check the time that works for you, fill out the form, and then that appointment would get booked. Okay. So that's one way to do that. That's you can also schedule your counseling appointments through here, and then the new student advising sessions as well. Okay. Alrighty. So moving on. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the CLEP test. So if you're fluent in another language, you have the possibility of earning 8 to 12 credits by taking what's called the CLEP test. These are the fees. So the fee for the exam is $89, and then there's a $35 fee to a Chemeketa. So for a total of $124, you're able to earn 8 to 12 credits. So that could be a year worth of a foreign language that you get with one test. So if you're fluent in another language, I would highly encourage you to consider taking this exam, because then you'd be able to earn those credits without having to go through the classes. So the last thing I want to talk about is mandatory advising. So once you watch this video, make sure you follow up and set up an appointment with us so we can talk about classes and anything else that you might need to talk to us about. But generally, all students up to a certain credit have mandatory advising. And this is just kind of the general guidelines of when you want to book an appointment with an advisor. So for if you're planning for winter courses, in the fall, you want to meet with us by October 31st, so around Halloween. When you're planning for spring courses, you want to make sure by February 14th you've met with us, you've picked out your classes. And then for summer and fall courses, you want to make sure you meet with us around the 5th of May. Okay. So Thank you so much for watching this video. I know we threw a lot of information, but we're looking forward to seeing you on campus.
We are excited to have you on campus. So our next steps, or your next steps, would be meeting with either Claudia or I. Hopefully you've already made that appointment when one of our student services faculty reached out to you. If not, just follow Claudia's steps in terms of scheduling a one-on-one appointment, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.